Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going over Major Hurricane Beryl. This is still a Category 3 hurricane, as well as some other tropical disturbances, one in the Atlantic and then another one actually in the Pacific. So let's start off here. Let's take a look at 96L. This has a 20% chance to develop, but I don't expect this to do much. I just think this will bring some gusty winds and maybe some rain to portions of Central America and Mexico over the next several days. Let's take a look at the Eastern Pacific. We have a little disturbance, and this is EP91. So this is an invest as well. This has an 80% chance to develop in the next 7 days and 48 hours. And what I mean by develop is form into a tropical storm or tropical depression. Let's take a look at Hurricane Beryl. This is the normal outlook from the National Hurricane Center. And yeah, here it is. It's a major hurricane still, and it's supposed to weaken down to a Category 2 this evening. But it is supposed to make a landfall in portions of Mexico as a hurricane, and then weaken eventually into a tropical storm as it gets back into the Gulf of Mexico. But it's supposed to strengthen actually back into a hurricane as it makes landfall possibly in portions of Mexico or in Texas. But I believe this landfall will be in Texas. Let's take a look at the wind speed probabilities. These are tropical storm force winds, and here it is. The darker the color, the higher chance there is of tropical storm force winds. So in that purple, that's a 90 to 100% chance. And then in that red to dark red, that's a 70 to 90% chance. And then from the yellows up to the from the yellows up to that red color, that's about a 30 to a 70% chance. And then there's that little invest in the Eastern Pacific. It actually has about 10% chance of producing tropical storm wind speeds as of now. So let's take a look at Hurricane Beryl. This is on the satellite view, and here are the Cayman Islands. So the Cayman Islands up here, I guess you could say the North Cayman Islands. Those are basically done with the effects of Beryl. As you can see, that wind field is in this yellow area, and then that darker orangey reddish color is actually hurricane force. And yeah, these islands up here are not in that anymore, but these islands, I guess you could say the south, sorry about that. The South Cayman Islands are still getting some tropical storm force winds. So let's take a look here. It's supposed to make a landfall in Mexico as a Category 2 hurricane, about 100 mile per hour to 105 mile per hour, Category 2. And it's supposed to weaken down to a tropical storm of about 60 mile per hour winds, and then start to strengthen back up to a 65 mile per hour tropical storm. This is Saturday around 8 p.m. And then it's supposed to strengthen to a 70 mile tropical storm around 8 a.m. on Sunday. And then it's supposed to strengthen into a 75 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane as it makes its way into portions of Texas, but then weaken into a tropical depression. But of course, this goes from a hurricane to a tropical depression. So I believe that once we have higher confidence of what this will do, they'll probably extend this hurricane out a little bit more or bring it in a little bit, and then we'll use the pink color for tropical storm, and I think it'll be something like that. And then the blue we'll use for tropical depression. It will then most likely be something like that. And sorry about my dog in the background. Yeah, sorry if you can hear that. But anyways, yeah, that's Tropical Storm Beryl. Anyways, let's take a look at let's take a look at our warnings, watches, and advisories. So we have a large area of heat warnings in portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, and most of Florida. And then we have another smaller area up here in portions of the Delmarva area, and then portions of Virginia, Maryland, and New Jersey as well. And then we have another large area over here on the west coast of heat warnings, excessive heat warnings, excessive heat watches, and heat advisories. So definitely got a very large definitely have some very large areas of some excessive heat today. And then an area that we have to watch for flooding as well up here in portions of Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky as well. And then we have another, and excuse me, if you can see these reds down here, that's tropical storm warnings and hurricane warnings from Tropical Storm Beryl. So let's take a look at our day 1 severe weather risk. We have 2 areas of a slight risk. One in portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky, and actually small portions of Ohio, and then another one up here in portions of Minnesota and Iowa and Michigan, I believe. Yeah, that's Michigan. Sorry about that. My brain is still tired. We have 2 areas of a tornado risk day. One is a 5% tornado risk in portions of Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And then another one just a 2% tornado risk up in portions of Iowa, Minneapolis, and Minnesota. Sorry about that. I said Minneapolis, but it does include Minneapolis. But y'all know what I mean. And then there's two 15% areas of wind. That's a 15% risk of winds exceeding 60 mile per hour winds. And then one area of a 15% hail risk. So that's a 15% risk of hail 1 inch in diameter or larger. Let's take a look at the day 2 risk. We have a day 2 marginal risk. This includes portions of West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Less than a 2% tornado risk, but still can't rule out a tornado, a little spin up. But then we have a 5% wind risk, and then a less than 5% hail risk, but still can't rule out some small hail. We also have a day 3. This is a larger marginal risk. They might add a slight risk somewhere in to here. They might, but we will watch for a potential upgrade. But this does include portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and smaller portions of Colorado, Iowa, and New Mexico. That's now just a 5% risk of severe weather, but they'll probably add a slight risk or at least add a 2% tornado risk. And one last thing, this is covering the tropics. This is once again Hurricane Beryl. So this is the GFS model. So let's take a look at its projected path. So here it is around 2 a.m. July 5th. This is impending landfall in portions of Mexico and Central America possibly. And then we'll keep it moving. It gets back into the Gulf of Mexico, redevelops into a tropical storm, and then possibly that hurricane. And then might try to make landfall in portions of Mexico or the Texas-Mexico border. But it could make a landfall in portions of Texas. And we'll go back to the cone here. So this is the cone of uncertainty. So this hurricane could go like this. It could go like this, or it could even go up into here. So it's just a big question mark on where it's gonna go. I believe it will be somewhere in this area for its landfall. But yeah, this is the cone of uncertainty, so it could potentially make a landfall anywhere in here. um, let's go back to the GFS model. It shows a landfall in Mexico, but near the Mexico-Texas border. And then we'll keep this moving. It does try to make a little tick north and maybe be able to maintain strength for a little bit as it then goes into portions of Texas. And I believe there will be a tornado risk with this quadrant. This is what we call the dirty side of the storm. Here is the National Hurricane Center. So usually there's not a huge tornado risk on the south side or even on the west side of the storm. But usually we have that larger tornado risk into this area of the storm. So I believe there will be a tornado risk definitely in portions of Texas, maybe somewhere in to here. And sorry if things seem a little slower today. I am experimenting with some new stuff for videos, so tell me what you think in the comments, because I've been experimenting some with this pen. So just wanted to tell y'all that, because still definitely dealing with some technical difficulties with some of that stuff. But anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if this helps out in any way, or if you enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Have a good one, everybody.